Let me tell you something that will spark your brain, something that will freeze your soul. The final day has arrived. The heavens shake as though they are breaking apart. The earth cracks wide open beneath trembling feet. The seas roar like raging beasts set loose, and humanity stares upward in terror, waiting for their eternal verdict. The day of judgment, foretold by prophets, feared by every soul, has come at last. But something is wrong. Horribly wrong. The light begins to fade, the throne trembles, and the songs of angels turn into screams of panic. And then a chilling question rises. What if God is no longer in control? What if on this final day, Lucifer, the fallen one, the ancient serpent, the prince of darkness, finally overpowers God? The question alone is terrifying, the thought unthinkable. And yet imagine it. Imagine the throne of heaven shaking. Imagine the gates of paradise splintering. Imagine the light of eternity swallowed whole by a darkness that knows no end. Would the angels scream? Would the righteous tremble? Would prayers matter anymore if the throne of the Almighty were torn down? Close your eyes for a moment. Picture this nightmare. The heavens split open, not with radiant light, but with a void darker than death itself. Lucifer ascends, not in chains, but in glory, a stolen glory, draped in fire and shadows. His wings are vast, charred, and burning with rebellion. He laughs, a laughter so deafening it silences the cries of billions. The fallen star has risen. And there, upon the great throne of eternity, sits not God, but him. What would you do if you looked up and realized the one seated in judgment was not the creator, but the destroyer? Would you still hope for mercy, or would you know that hope has ended forever? The scriptures warn of the beast, the deceiver, the antichrist. But what if even prophecy itself was shattered? What if God's hand was struck down, his power consumed, his reign ended? Think about it. No heaven, no refuge, no light at the end of the tunnel. Only one kingdom, hell. And hell would not be a place below the earth. It would be everything, the sky, the sea, the soil you walk on, your very breath. If Lucifer overpowered God, Judgment Day would not be a day of separation between righteous and wicked. It would be a day where all are dragged into eternal torment. No scales, no forgiveness, no salvation, only punishment. Can you imagine the screams, the endless burning, the sight of your loved ones chained in darkness with no chance of escape? Ask yourself, what if every church, every prayer, every sacrifice, every act of love was for nothing? What if all those who believed, all those who endured, suddenly realized they were trapped forever with the enemy they thought would be defeated? Would you curse God for failing? Or would you cry out into the void, begging for a light that would never return? The angels would fall, Michael, Gabriel, Raphael, all crushed beneath the throne of darkness. The saints, their crowns shattered, their robes torn, their songs silenced. Every soul, from Adam to the last born child, swallowed by the kingdom of Lucifer. What would justice mean then? Would there even be justice or only chaos? The oceans would turn to blood, the stars would vanish, the sun would become a cold, dead stone in the sky. Imagine waking up to an eternity where the night never ends. Imagine running, but never escaping. Imagine screaming, but no one listening. And here's the most terrifying question of all. What if this nightmare was not sudden, but eternal? What if time itself was Lucifer's weapon? What if he stretched every second into centuries of agony? What if death no longer freed you, but chained you tighter into his kingdom of suffering? If Lucifer overpowered God, then the word forever would not be a promise of joy. It would be a curse of endless horror. Picture yourself standing in line on Judgment Day. You look up expecting to see God. Instead, you see a throne of fire, a crown of horns, eyes like burning coals staring straight into your soul, and you hear your name called not to enter heaven, but to be cast into the abyss with no appeal, no second chance, no mercy. Would you scream? Would you fight? Or would you realize that resistance is meaningless because evil has already won? Now ask yourself this. What happens to hope if the source of hope is gone? What happens to love if love itself is slaughtered? What happens to light when darkness devours the throne of God? The truth is, we cannot imagine the weight of that horror. For if Lucifer ever overpowered God, existence itself would unravel. There would be no salvation, no escape, only endless torment. But here lies the final question, the one that keeps the mind awake in the dead of night. If such a nightmare could ever be real, would you still choose to believe in God today? Would you still pray? Would you still cling to hope, even knowing the risk of it being destroyed? Or would you bow now to darkness, to prepare for the throne that might one day reign? The thought chills the soul, the idea twists the heart, because if Lucifer overpowered God on Judgment Day, then judgment itself would never end. But do you think this nightmare ends with just chains and fire? No, that is only the beginning. For if Lucifer truly overpowers God on Judgment Day, then reality itself becomes his weapon. The laws of nature twist. Time fractures. Gravity pulls not toward the earth, but into the abyss. Every step you take drags you closer to hell. Imagine looking into the mirror and seeing not your face, but a hollow-eyed version of yourself whispering, "You are already dead." Imagine walking through streets where every building bleeds, where every shadow moves, where every sound is a scream. And then imagine realizing this is not a dream, this is eternity. If Lucifer reigns, torment will not be physical alone. It will be mental, spiritual, emotional. He will reach into your thoughts and twist them until you no longer know if you are alive or already burning. He will force you to relive your deepest regrets, your darkest sins, over and over again, until the guilt itself crushes you like a weight heavier than mountains. Would you still claim to be strong? Would you still believe you could resist? Or would you collapse under the endless storm of despair? Picture the people you once loved, your mother, your father, your children, your friends, each of them shackled in flames, screaming for help, their eyes empty, their souls broken, and you cannot save them. You cannot even save yourself. Would you still cling to love, or would love itself rot into hate? This is the fate of a universe without God. This is the nightmare of Lucifer victorious. And here is the terrifying truth. Lucifer does not need to kill you to win. He only needs to break you. He only needs to twist you until you bow willingly. He wants you to worship him, not by force, but by surrender. He wants you to call him God, to forget there was ever another. Now pause. Ask yourself this chilling question. What if, right now, he is preparing you for that day? What if every temptation, every weakness, every compromise is not random, but part of his plan to train you, to weaken you? So when judgment comes, you are already his. Do you think you are safe because you go to church sometimes, because you pray when life is hard? What if that is not enough? What if your faith is paper thin, and when the storm comes, it burns away like ash? Wake up before it is too late. If you can hear this, it is your warning. Do not scroll away. Do not ignore this message. Because one day, you will not have the chance to hear warnings anymore. And listen closely. If you want to stand against the darkness, you must stay awake. You must stay alert. This is why I urge you now. Subscribe to this channel. Turn on all notifications so you do not miss the messages that could prepare your soul. Because the day may come when the only voice left is the voice of the fallen one. And if you are not ready, you will not stand. Now imagine it again. The throne of heaven cracked, the light gone, Lucifer seated in victory, his laughter echoing across eternity, the angels bound in chains, the righteous cast into fire, the nations swallowed by chaos, and every single soul judged not by love, but by hatred? Would you look up in defiance, or would you drop to your knees, trembling, broken, knowing there is no escape? Think carefully, because this is not just a story. This is not just imagination. This is the picture of what could have been, what might be, if you are not prepared. And so I ask you one last terrifying question. When the final trumpet sounds and you lift your eyes to the throne, will you see the face of God, or the eyes of Lucifer burning with victory, claiming your soul as his own?